We're talking. So how do you think you did?
I think I did okay for a guy who hasn't slept for 2 days.
Excuses.
No, I'm serious.
All right.
Not as animated as I am sometimes, and I feel a little bit nervous that I'm being judged even more than a client would judge me.
Okay.
Which is fine. That's your job.
Yeah.
You know. But I think I had some good points and some not so good points.
What do you think were the good points?
I think I was prepared.
Okay.
You know, I know the different parts of a sales presentation, from cold calling to the data collection from the client and trying to, you know, and some clients, you ask them those same questions, they'll talk their head off.
Yeah.
And some are a little more
reticent,
stoic and reticent, like yourself. And,
okay.
You know. But
why do you think that's a good point? It's a good jumping off point for the critique. Why do you think I was stoic and reticent though?
Maybe I wasn't hitting the right buttons.
There, you danced around a lot of areas, and you dipped your toe into the whatever it was of that area, but you never went too far. Okay. So let me give you a couple examples. Okay. So one of the early ones was. You said, who is your customer? Okay, that's good. Okay, who is your customer? But you didn't explore that at all. Okay, you got into who's your customer. If you would have kept on asking me questions, I would have kept on giving you information. You know what I mean? Like you said, not everybody's just going to, verbally diarrhea on you. You know, they're going to, sometimes you got to drag it out of them. But if you would have kept asking me, I would have volunteered. You asked me typical sale size. Good. But then when I said there's no typical, I was trying to give you an objection without you knowing it, and it worked. You know, I wanted to see if you came back and followed up. I said, there's no typical sale size, it's based on vertical, and there's a typical sale size for each vertical. So my next question would have been, well, what's the typical sale size for each vertical? Right. Exactly. Okay.
I didn't really hear you say that.
Yeah, I said, because remember I said, that's when I said we have 6 different things that we do.
Yeah.
Okay, and I said that there are 6 different things we do, and each one has its own. We go as low as $100 and as high as $6 million. You know, if it's me, I'm going to figure out what each one is, because then that ties in email marketing. So who do you one of the good lines you used at the end was, it's a pittance, blah, 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 blah. I don't know if I said the exact right word, but you had the right idea, right? It's a pittance of what we're going to do. But if it's one sale for crane versus how many sales for this versus, you can make that case much stronger. But you didn't find that out, which is also why I cut it down shorter, because I didn't feel that you had enough info to come back here and try and close me on, because you didn't go in deep enough. Customer acquisition cost was excellent, getting there, but again, you didn't dig into that. You didn't ask me how much did it cost for me to acquire a customer. If you would have asked me, I would have told you. I got all the numbers right here. That's why one of the things I would have gave you that exact number, which again would have made it easier for this part of things, right?
Right.
You get your business from your reputation versus that. That was good. Okay. Again, you could have dug into it. What type of marketing? Good. You got into it. The thing that I'll use the word dismayed, was at the beginning you started with printing. You didn't get into what do you do here totally until the middle. If it's me, I know you do digital and printing, I'd start, tell me a little bit about your marketing operation, and just open it up. You want somebody to start talking? Ask them an open-ended question. But at the beginning, your first question was a yes or no. Do you accept other quotes? Would you do this if you could? You start off with closed-ended questions at the very beginning, which is where you should be starting with what, how, why.
Yeah, I'll tell you why I do that. Because when you say, do you accept other quotes, 99% of the time the person says yes.
Okay.
One of the strategies is in sales that I've always followed is to get the person to say yes to the questions they're going to say yes to, and get them thinking positively.
Okay, well that's great. So what happens then when you get whenever you ask a closed-ended question though, you're always going to get either a yes or no. You're rolling the dice.
Right.
50% of the time, you're going to get a yes, 50% of the time. You're hoping that they're going to say yes. So what do? My job is to put you in the worst possible situation and see how you can actually come out of it.
Right.
And you didn't come out of it. So that's the point. You're going to get that yes or no. But what if you don't? All right. So if you don't get that, if you don't get that yes or no, or where do you go? If you don't get that yes,
fair enough.
That's
fair
exactly
enough.
right. So, all right then. Ask about average sales spectrum. Okay. another good question. What is your differentiator? Okay, and what did I tell you was our differentiator? Do you remember?
You said that you offer more and more and more, like, you were talking about Terex, and that you can offer more and more services the longer tail. And that was your differentiator.
That we had different products. So yeah, you basically got it. You know, the bottom line is that we, there's a Terex and there's a mom and pop, but we can sell everything. So
right.
you basically got it. So then my next question would have been, well, let's talk about that in each segment. What your so what you're saying is your differentiating against everybody is everything. But that means I've got competition in each segment. Now you ask, who might be, that. I would have said, okay, so let's talk about you specifically with Terex. Let's talk about, and then on the website, it lists the different things they do. And you didn't ask specifically, I gave you them, but you didn't ask specifically. I say, who's your competitor in that segment? Who's your competitor? And then I'd walk, bing, bing, bing. Let's talk about, how you match up there. Let's talk about how you match up there, okay? Because that's, if you don't know that, again, you're throwing email marketing into the wind, all right?
Got it.
Then came the interesting part where I introduced Frank. At first you assumed you knew him, that's okay. So, I knew him from sales and marketing. Okay, good. You kind of went with the flow.
Well, you said, hi, Matt.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. So you went with the flow. So that's good. So that's what I'm saying. Assuming is good at that point, right? But, when we came back in, if it's me, what I would have done is recap the meeting for the new person sitting here. Hey, Frank, let me tell you what we've been talking about since we've been here. Gives you a chance to go over your notes and make sure everything you said was right. Also gives me a chance to hear everything again and gets him up to speed all in one fell swoop. Okay. Instead, you kind of just went into your direction and started going. Couple other little things on the discovery part of things. It was good starting with printing. It's good starting with that, but you always have to have a reason for coming, which you kind of did, but it was kind of, tell me if I'm right or wrong here, how did it feel? It felt meandering to you. I just kind of wanted to see if I could kind of help save you and kind of do this and kind of do that. All right, got to be a straight line, short, sweet, simple. John, what do you do for a living? I help companies increase their sales 42%. It's got to be just that simple. When you meander, it sounds like you meander and you meander. All right, let's go to the intro. In the area frequently, okay. Done business in the past, okay. You made some assumptions, that's okay. Who is the person?
Well, I was told that.
I understand, and that's okay. That's what I'm saying. That's okay in that one. But we'll get to the one where I correct you down, and we'll go from there. Done in the business in the past. Who is the person? Good. Okay. Assume the one thing that you never ask who I was. Sitting there. I'm walking into a business for the first time. I'd ask whether you're for sure. I'd say, I'm looking for John Kolensik. I'm looking for whoever. Would that be yourself or somebody else? You never
I thought
know.
you were the receptionist.
And you don't know. But so do you know what the receptionist's name is? Isn't it nice if you can say, hi Mary, or hi John, or hi Steve? Isn't that person important to know who they are too?
Yeah, I usually do ask that first thing.
And you didn't. And so then we went back and said, okay, now don't.
Well, see, I wasn't sure if you were playing, what role you were playing.
And so what's the
But
best
I
thing?
didn't know if you were.
And what's the best thing to do? If
Ask
you're
it.
not, there you go.
Yeah, I know.
So there you go. All right. So the next thing is then. So we did the next one. Okay. This time at least you ask the name of the person. Okay. Who would be responsible for that? First one you're kind of discombobulated and you say, who's the person responsible for that? Good. Still didn't ask who I was. Sitting there at the desk. All right. And again, you led with printing instead of talking about overall. What we can do is help. What we do is this. Boom. Short, sweet is kind of printing. Kind of do that. Finally, you got around to it at the very end. You asked for my name, which was good. All right. But again, you got to have that short, sweet. What do you do? This is what we do. And good simulations. People have a short line. I'm from Hudson Printing, Hudson Collective. And what we do is this, and then go from there. And then close it up. Wasn't super strong, but at least you got to the right part. Okay, so that was the intro. And then finally, in the presentation, you spent a little too much time on Hudson. Okay, this is all the stuff that we have. Who cares? I care why you came to see me. Right? And the problem was you didn't get enough information. And the reason why I cut it short, like I said, is you didn't get enough information to make a really good presentation. You couldn't tie cost to it. I might go through this. I was glad you didn't hand me the proposal. That was a good part. Okay, not hand me the proposal until I demanded it, but that was just because of where we were. But in terms of cost, you put XXX. Obviously, that could be anything.
Yeah.
But the point of the story is without asking me that stuff. Average unit price, average sales price in this area. What's your cost of acquisition, the sale, competition? Right now, you're comparing whatever that number could be to air. because you didn't get that. Do you get where I'm going?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but by getting that, so if cost of acquisition is X and average unit selling price is Y, that means that needs to be Z.
Mm-hmm.
Or it needs to be that you need to get 3 of those to make Z, or 3 Zs to make whatever. Do you get where I'm going?
Yeah, that's
All
good.
right.
That's good
Yeah.
feedback.
Yeah, one of my big, pet peeves is the spending a lot of time on Hudson Cape stuff. I always like keeping it short, real short. We've been in business for 60 years. We do everything from this to this. But what you're here to talk about today is how we can help you. I boiled, and then you go into a recap. Let's talk, and there was no recap. It'd be, this is what we talked about the last time we were here. We talked about this, we talked about that, we talked about this, we talked about that. That way you remind me of what you're coming here to do. That was missing. You did some good tie together, okay? You did some good tie together. And then up there, without you knowing it, that was your best part. Because when you were vamping and being yourself, before you're too worried about being on stage. When you're up there vamping and being yourself, doing the email marketing and the 5 things for email marketing, that was good. That was good stuff. And if you would have got the information earlier about costs and stuff and tied it together, that would have been great. I would have sat back here and just listened to it and let you just go and go. But there was nothing to tie it to. That part was good, but there was nothing to tie it to, so I had to, at that point, I didn't care, because you didn't know how much all this stuff was going to cost. You didn't know how to offset the cost, cost versus value. So I was like, I don't have time for this, and that's how I was thinking as an executive. I don't have time for this if he's not going to go into that. But that was your best part, was up there, when it was coming from here, or from here, instead of, exactly, and thinking.
From here.
That's exactly right. And there you were in your head. There you're being Matt Fabian.
Yes.
Okay.
You're right.
So that's my take on how you did it.
Well, you can tell that was my final slide.
That's great, but again, still, even all the other slides you went. And by the way, can you email that to me?
Yeah.
Do you have my email address?
Do you have a card? I haven't gotten your card.
Right here. Email that presentation to me. I got a copy of the proposal. But again, if you back up and go through all the other pieces, what you'll see is there's not one thing that does a cost-benefit analysis again.